All right, guys, please, we're procrastinating. Okay.
Just a little bit more.
Okay, here's my goal with this. I'm going to get through this as quickly and factually as I can. I feel that I need to say this. I need to address this once and for all. And just, this is it, okay? So let's turn off chat because you know what I mean? Whatever you guys have to say at this moment, I don't know. I don't want it to be toxic. That's it. That's why I'm turning it off. All right. As I said, I'm going to be quick and factual. There's no fluff. I want to get through it as fast as I can. This is not something you're interested in. Obviously, I understand. I would suggest you refer to timestamps or catch our Friday show if you don't want to watch this. Totally understand. Before I begin, I would like to address a couple of points that I know will be brought up. One that I hear a lot: why don't you talk to Hasan about this privately? I did text him a couple of weeks ago after I saw the clip of him saying that he had no problem with Hezbollah. I texted him that I thought it was pretty disappointing and disturbing the way that he was. I'm on no sleep, sorry. What's the word? He was hyping up Hezbollah. And granted, when I texted him that, I said, you don't have to respond to me. I totally understand because it's unsolicited, criticism. I get it. But I was kind of hoping to open the door to a more personal conversation. He did not reply, which I took as basically just like we're on the opposite sides of this issue and talking isn't going to really help, which I get. And I agree. That's probably where we're at, unfortunately. But I did try. And again, not to blame him because I said you don't have to respond, just so you know. I felt I needed to tell you this. So like, it's not like that's what happened. Okay. And in fact, we haven't spoken in a few months. We've spoken very little since the show ended. Obviously, this is what I don't like. I've been taking these stupid little pot shots at him and Instagram stories and stuff. Something happened over the past few days that really fucking set me off and made me get kind of just like determined to finally just do this once and for all. So obviously things have gotten more strained between us as time has gone by. And after some recent events, which I'll get into, I find it impossible not to say anything. I don't want people don't need to speculate about our relationship, about our opinions about each other. I just want to address it now openly, bluntly. As a person, as a friend, I respect Hasan. I don't think you need to choose between us. It's not like that. In fact, it's not personal at all. I am seeing a concerning rise in anti-Semitism and a normalization of it in a way that I don't think Hasan is anti-Semitic, but I do think that stuff he does contributes to it. Well, and I know that's a big claim. However, I hope that you will watch this through. I believe it's well supported, and I feel that it will be persuasive if you listen to what I'm saying. So please, at least give me the due. Give me your ears for a moment to hear me out. And feel free to disagree with me all you want, but yeah. But again, like it's not. I mean, Hasan can do better. He can conduct himself better, in my opinion. It's possible that we could be friends again down the line. Or not that we stop being friends, but we could be friendly again or more on talking terms. I don't know, down the line. But at the moment, he is like the lead. He's kind of like the most prominent voice on this issue. So it's not personal. It's literally just addressing where this is all coming from. Another comment that I read all the time that I want to address up front, and it's kind of the heart of all the problems that I'm having here, is that I hear all the time. In fact, this was the top comment on a thread on our subreddit, is that with all the terrible things happening in Gaza, I can't bring myself to care about anti-Semitism, which I understand the sentiment, right? There are terrible things happening in Gaza. However, these are the people who are nonstop trying to convince everybody that Zionism is not Judaism and convince themselves that we don't hate Jews, we just hate Zionists. So when I complain about anti-Semitism, why is it that it always goes back to Israel? It seems that they're the ones that are confused about Zionism and Judaism. Because again, if I'm complaining about anti-Semitism, what does that have to do with Gaza, or what does that have to do with Gaza? You know what I mean? Apparently, according to them, nothing, if they're not related. Um, this is a confusion that is at the root of the problem I'm having of contributing and rising anti-Semitism that I'm seeing, is this usage of the word Zionism, which is basically become a catch-all. It doesn't mean much, and it has a whole spectrum of meaning. As I'll show, it can mean, like, if you look at a leftist Israeli, you ask them what Zionism is, they'll tell you, a lot of people tell you it's Western expansion, like settler expansionism, right? And they say, oh, I'm anti-Zionist, I'm against that. Where the idea of, like, taking Israel off the map, they'd be like, that's insane. Like, obviously, no. So are they a Zionist? Or is it a Houthi pirate that Hasan's been hyping up, and a Houthi flag that says "Curse upon the Jews" and "Death to Israel"? Is that Zionism? What does it mean? What does it mean? People call me a Zionist all the time on the internet. To what extent does it? The extent of my Zionism is this: do I think Israel should be wiped off the map? No. That's the extent, and that's all it takes to hit me with that catch-all. You know what I mean? I find it's turned into a slur. I'm going to get into all that, and I hope you guys will listen. I'm grateful to everybody who's a fan of both of us. I hope you will not take this personally. It's completely reasonable to be a fan of both of us, and I'm grateful that you're able to put aside whatever perceived differences we've had and able to enjoy both of us. If you decide you can't watch, understand, love you, know that processing things that are happening in the news is extraordinarily difficult. I will not judge anybody for walking away. Perhaps at this point in time, it's better for both of us if you do decide to do that. However, that being said, I do hope you listen to my presentation before deciding to depart. But once again, this is something in my heart that I feel I must communicate, and so that is what I'm doing. And I also want to say to everyone who's expressed their support to me over the past 2 days, I am extremely grateful. Thank you. There was a point when I felt like literally nobody supported me, and it was just my own community was like, I felt gaslighting me and just completely shitting on my beliefs. However, there was a very hopeful push towards some more healthy discourse that I felt encouraged by, and I want to thank the people that who did that, and so thank you. Yeah. Also, I want to say to Hasan that I appreciate all the times you've defended me from your community. I know I'm not one to hold someone responsible for what their fans do, as you probably know that our audience does crazy shit. However, I do think that while you tell everybody to leave me alone or whatever it is you say, that your rhetoric, your tone, the way you carry yourself on this topic is the reason why I'm being harassed by so many people online, a large part of your audience. So let's start from the beginning. Here's an album of the stories, just to catch you guys up to date. This started with this tweet I saw. By the way, I pulled this last night to see where it was at. When I posted it, had like 30,000 likes. It says 90,000 likes, 2 million views. I never heard of this guy, it's from, first of all, Comrade Casey. Yeah, that Comrade Casey, the guy who is a fucking absolute creepy weirdo who was posting Hamas simping shit via love. It was so weird. This dude. Anyway, you guys remember that whole thing. He typed in and said, please stop talking about me. And continuing to talk about me. Very good. And again, I'd also like to wonder, what the fuck is it exactly I've said or done to like belong in this image? I know what you're saying, right? What have I done? I continually ask myself, why am I being held up with these group of people? And anyway, Comrade Casey said, I'm assembling a team. This guy, Hasan Kader, said, I hope they commit suicide squad. And which I found, I'm like, wow, okay, so 90,000 likes telling me to kill myself for a belief. And again, this is part of the problem. Like, what have I done? Like, why am I in these memes getting 2 million views of me telling me to kill myself? Because apparently I'm like anti-Islam or I hate Gaza or whatever. I mean, Asmongold was just blasted for saying horrible shit about like, I don't remember the verbatim, but he said something like Muslim culture or Arab culture is inferior, which is insane, right? It's fucked up. It's insane. When have I ever said anything like that? You know what I mean? Never. Okay? So, but since when is telling people to kill themselves like normal? And again, part of the irony of this whole thing is that on the left, they're basically willing to undermine everything they believe in. I guess at the behest of going after Zionists because they see Zionists as subhuman. They see them as Nazis. They've given each other permission and consent and the green light to essentially target whoever they perceive as Zionists with whatever abuse they deem necessary because they're Nazis and they're killing children and innocent people in Gaza. That is my problem. Anyway, I responded to this tweet telling me to kill myself with 90,000 likes. I said, deranged shit telling me to kill myself with 36,000 likes at the time, 36. What exactly as I said or did? Nobody has ever been able to tell me. Moving on to the next one. It made me think of this tweet from our wonderful Houthi pirate, the cute Houthi pirate that Hasan interviewed. And I remembered this tweet he put out. Just a cute tweet from our favorite Houthi. Same people telling me to kill myself love this guy. And that's true. They do. They love him. Hasan interviewed him. He hypes him up even as recent as like this week. Okay. This is a tweet he put out. The execution that we will carry out on all Zionists. And it features somebody whose arms is tied behind their back and they've been impaled by a spike through their asshole and up and through their mouth. Now, I would like to know what people go, Hasan talked to him and he said he's not a Houthi and he says he doesn't hate Jews. Why is it you understand how this works with every other minority group? Like, do you really think that if I asked this guy, like, tell me what do you think a Zionist is, that he would have some nuanced answer about the difference? I mean, as you'll see, this kid is a rampant anti-Semite and a violent Houthi terrorist, which I will prove to you guys, in my opinion, beyond a shadow of a doubt. However, so like this kind of rhetoric, frankly, disgusts and scares me. People call me a Zionist. People call my wife a Zionist. It's my family. This is my children's life. Okay? And this is a guy someone who I considered a friend, is talking about how cute and funny and awesome he is. Well, the immediate reaction to this was our subreddit getting mobbed by Hasan fans and probably snarkers, overwhelming the comments, overwhelming it. Now, here's where they say, top comment, this dude isn't a Houthi. He literally said it in an interview with Hasan. Like, how fucking obtuse are you, seriously? Like, David Duke says he's not a Klan member and he doesn't actually hate black people. It's like, okay, so I guess he doesn't. Like, are you fucking dumb? Okay, I'm getting too emotional. I'll calm it down. But yeah, obviously, he isn't a Houthi. He literally said it to Hasan. Okay, great. Also, this is the part that they go after. This tweet is fake. Just like Ethan, you morons have been duped. Now, I'm thinking to myself, I saw this tweet. I remember it. This is a real tweet. What's going on here? Then people uncritically start accepting it. Wait, for real? Jesus Christ, the misinfo is nuts. Then they respond, yes, and psychophants that are willing to believe Muslim Arabs are inherently evil will fall for this, like Ethan. Now, excuse me. I said this kid's a piece of shit, and all you heard was Arabs are evil? I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, why is that what you heard? Continuing, here's a Hasan. Both of these, this guy's a Hasanabi head flare. Honestly, it's really sad watching Ethan slip into this rabbit hole and showing his bias. Brings back memory of that forsaken leftovers episode when he wouldn't even engage with Palestinian plight and kept saying, "What about Israel?" I don't even know what he's talking about exactly, but essentially, they've all, and this is just an excerpt, but the whole chat was like, "This is misinfo." Ethan's like lying, and this kid is innocent. He would never tweet this. He would never ever tweet this. Moving on to the next one. I did a tiny bit of research and I found the archive, thankfully. I would have lost my mind if I didn't, because I swear I saw it. Here's the tweet. It happened. The execution that we will carry out on all Zionists. Here it is from this kid, July 23rd, 2024. By the way, he's banned on all social medias, and there's a reason for that. It's because he's a fucking terrorist and he posts shit like this. Okay? Does that surprise anybody? I said, so now that we've proven it's real, I suppose we'll see a lot of apologies and corrections. Of course, we did not see that. But kind of what continues to shock me is, you know, people on the left are so hypercritical of MAGA people being like divorced from reality and not listening to reason and not acknowledging facts and kind of just thinking, and whatever they think is real, they speak and it becomes real. That's literally what just happened in that chat. I posted something that was true, and because it went against their dogma, they swarmed our subreddit to accuse me of lying with zero evidence, and people uncritically believed them. That to me is disturbing, and that to me is dangerous. Here's a post that, again, doesn't have a lot of engagement, but I was struck by the fact that it had minus likes, excuse me. As I said, I'm getting over something nasty. This person said, so all the hate speech and threats of violence are fine because there's other horrendous violence. It's okay for everyone to post violent hate speech because violence exists. Please explain. Things can be bad without there being a comparison. It's not a zero-sum game. I don't want atrocities, cruelty, and violence, and I don't want hate speech all over social media. Being downvoted because I guess you guys are okay with seeing people threaten to kill and spear people alive. All hate stuff is bad is apparently a controversial opinion. This world's so fucked. And this person was getting downvoted. And it's like, dude, this is in my own community. The consensus I should just take the anti-Semitism and keep moving, and how dare I even complain or acknowledge it, is so absurd. I invite you to imagine even saying that to another minority group and then being applauded and upvoted and cheered on for it. You know where you see that? Fucking probably 4chan or, MAGA threads. Probably where you see white supremacists talking about other races and stuff that were there, just shut up and take it. And once again, what does anti-Semitism have to do with Zionism? If I'm talking about anti-Semitism and your response is, I just don't care because of all the stuff happening in Gaza, how is it related? You're the one conflating Zionism and Judaism, and you do it all the time. Next. Here's another one, Hasan head. I thought Ethan said he wasn't a Zionist, right? Fuck Zionists. For real, fuck Zionism. He is. I mean, again, there's a famous clip of him calling the West Bank a Palestine terrorist city. I'm not sure what that one is. But, again, I'm willing to address anything that comes up. I thought Ethan said he wasn't a Zionist. So they're saying, like, why should he care about... Hold on, let me make sure I'm doing this in order. So they're saying, in response to the spike, this person being impaled by a spike to death, and him saying, I want to kill all Zionists like this, they say, why should Ethan care? He's not a Zionist. In fact, this is proof he's a Zionist because he doesn't like this. I thought Ethan said he wasn't a Zionist, right? Fuck Zionists. And again, reminder, this is a picture of someone being impaled from their asshole to their mouth. And people are saying, fuck Zionists. For real, fuck Zionists. These people are essentially co-signing these threats of violence while calling me a Zionist because I apparently care about people being spiked up the asshole. FBI crime stats. This came out, I think, just last month. Jews make up 2% of the population and 15% of hate crimes in America. Must be nice for people unaffected by anti-Semitism to tell Jews it doesn't matter. In must be nice to have that, to come from that that place of moral superiority when you're completely unaffected. It's quite stark. I mean, African American hate crimes are still number one, but for the proportion of Jews making up like 2% of the population of America, the fact that they're number two is pretty stark. So again, you'll hear this kind of relates to a statement Hasan says. Maybe I'll pull it up now. Okay, one sec. Hasan says 16 in the doc. Here it is. One sec here, guys. 16 in the doc. This relates to this.
I think what's crazy about this
he's
is
talking
that, like,
about, honestly, at this point, I don't even remember what me and Frogan were arguing about, but he's basically defending Frogan. Do you remember what happened, Dan? Is Dan there? What happened with Frogan? I literally don't even remember the details of it. You don't want to say. That's fine.
You unfollowed her.
I say what?
You unfollowed her, and then she talked about it in Discord.
Is that what he's talking about? Oh, this is from the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. So then that's what it's about. When I unfollowed her, and then she said I hate Arabs and stuff in Hasan's Discord. And instead of, and this is a mod on his channel, instead of, having a word with her about, what's going on, he actually chastised me. For what? Let's see.
Ethan is very frustrated and very emotional in this moment, but doesn't recognize that, like, perhaps a Lebanese woman who's a hijabi in the United States of America could also be very emotional in this exact same moment. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so, and the reality of the matter is anti-Semitism is an unacceptable form of bigotry, whereas Islamophobia is a very acceptable form of bigotry. So being the bigger person in this situation, regardless of your feelings.
So anyway, and God forbid you actually read the chat. But what I'm hearing, frankly, is that anti-Semitism is not really an issue. And so you shouldn't, your complaints are less equal than Frogan's complaints, because Islamophobia is more serious than anti-Semitism. Despite, by the way, the fact that, as I pointed out, in reality, or not the opposite, because there is Islamophobia, but like this claim that anti-Semitism doesn't exist because everybody knows it wrong, as I perceiving it, is absolutely false. I've never seen more open anti-Semitism in my life, my whole life. The way that it's being normalized by the left and the right, and it's being kind of, in a case like this, he's normalizing it. He's normalizing it. He's greenlighting it. Again, FBI stats. Jews are number 2. 2% of the population, 15% of all hate crimes. Okay? This is all I'm here. This is what I hear. This to me is it's disgusting. Frankly, it's disgusting. It's a disgusting thing to say in the face of rising anti-Semitism, which once again, apparently has nothing to do with Zionism.
Ethan is...
So why is it, that like when Stop Asian Hate, that movement happened, when, these terrible hate crimes were happening to Asian people during COVID, of like random acts of violence in New York City and elsewhere, the people like Hasan, excuse me, and left rallied behind them. Nobody said, well, there is a chance China let it out of a lab, so, maybe the problem is that you need to get a hold of China. Maybe you wouldn't be getting punched in the face if China wasn't locking down its country and whatever. That's what I hear from people like Hasan.
Can I just say real quick, there's a few things I want to say, but I want you to finish. I know you have a lot to get through, so I'd rather say it at the end, but there are a couple things I'd like to say in response.
Okay.
I'm very emotional in this moment, but doesn't recognize that, like, perhaps a Lebanese woman who's a hijabi in the United States of America could also be very emotional in this exact same moment. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so... And
once again, comparing actions, I quietly unfollowed her to avoid any problems. She was posting what I perceived as sympathetic posts, encouraging and glorifying Hamas violence against Israelis. Didn't want to see it. I unfollowed her. She started making a huge scene, and including going into Hasan's community as a moderator and saying, I hate Arabs. The actions are not equal, not even close.
The reality of the matter is anti-Semitism is an unacceptable form of bigotry, whereas Islamophobia is a very acceptable form of bigotry. So
again, her problem with Islamophobia is worth listening to. It's very real, and we have to listen to her. And frankly, she can't really do anything wrong. It seems like no matter what, because she's emotional, or she's a woman who's wearing a hijabi. He said, I don't know how to say it. Hijabi.
Yeah.
And so therefore, what? She gets a pass on everything, and I never get to complain about anti-Semitism, even though Jews on a whole, according to FBI stats, there's more hate crimes against Jews than there are at this moment than Arabs or Muslims, according to the FBI stats. Now, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying what he's saying here is factually wrong. It's just an outright lie to make it seem like Jews are complaining about something that doesn't exist, even though they are. And it's a gaslighting campaign that continues to go on. That's my take on that part. Going back, I'm skipping around a little bit, trying to make sense, but we're getting there. We're getting there. If you guys want to look, the whole FBI census was posted recently, the new one, and it's interesting. I mean, check it out if you're interested. But yeah, FBI crime stats on USA, telling people that anti-Semitism doesn't matter must be awesome and nice when literally you don't care. Do you think it's normal? So now the question goes to so first they said the tweet was fake about the pike, the killing Zionists with a pike. Okay, that's proven real. But then they say, well, he's not a Houthi pirate. He's just like a cool, awesome Yemenis kid who's kind of just like good kid, Mad City or whatever. Kendrick reference. Not now, Ethan. Do you think it's no? So I'd like to explore that accusation that he is not a Houthi. Okay, let's look at some of the evidence. Here he is with the AK and combat fatigues. Now, in poverty-stricken Yemen, do you think it's possible to get Yemeni? Thank you, Yemeni, not Yemenis. Do you think it's possible? Or do you think it's likely to get an AK or an automatic assault rifle in Yemen, poverty-stricken, if you're not affiliated with the Houthis? I mean, Houthis, guns are expensive as fuck, and it's kind of surprising. Dude, and I just continue, dude, there's so much evidence this dude is Jew-hating terrorist. Just say you support the Houthis, stand on your shit. Again, I respect that. Just say you support the Houthis, which Hasan does, and we'll get to that. But so here he is with a rifle, and again, okay, maybe he found that. I don't know how you get a high-powered rifle in Yemen without being affiliated with the Houthis, living in Houthi territory, but maybe he found it. I don't know. Here he is on top of a boat. Ship, we bombed a ship. This is him on a boat in the sea that was commandeered by Houthis. Here he is. This is a translation that it wouldn't translate for me in the pictures, but feel free to do it. It says, ready to sacrifice, longing for martyrdom, on top of a pirated vessel. Maybe he's talking about something else. I don't know. Longing for martyrdom, ready for sacrifice. Who knows? Maybe he's talking about something else, It's possible, right? Here he is singing a little ditty on TikTok that goes, do you threaten us with what we are waiting for, son of a Jew? Nice little ditty there. Once again, clearly making a healthy distinction between Jews and Israelis. But just because he told Hasan through a translator once that he doesn't hate Jews, just Zionists, we're going to give him a pass. He's a good kid. And actually, we should prop him up. He's awesome. He's hot, by the way. Cute kid. So that's good. Yeah. That's fucked up. And now I'm giving myself a note to look at number 12. One moment. Here he is. Now here, this is from a story. This is from the interview Hasan did with him. At the time, I have to admit, this interview blew my mind. I thought that this would be a bridge too far and that Twitch would step in and do something. He's interviewing a terrorist. And it's not that he's interviewing a terrorist, because I've seen Hasan try to deflect, just saying, oh, CNN reached me, BBC reached me, they want to talk to him, therefore it's real journalism. Hasan did not ask him one critical question. In fact, the opposite. It was a complete puff piece where he sucked him off, elevated him, was uncritical. And even in the moments of absolutely insane statements like this, he essentially covers for him and acts like ignorant.
Chinese people, but one of the captain was Chinese, and he did qat with them, and he danced some music with them, and he was vibing. So he likes him, yeah.
So what?
Yes, he just admitted to being a terrorist who's hanging out with hostages. That's literally just what happened, and Hasan knows it. That's why he's laughing a lot and trying to deflect.
That's so crazy.
Yes, it is.
So they're just chilling with the captains. Like, I don't understand.
You don't understand? Why would? Do you think anyone would just get access to hang out with, like, these hostages? Why would he be hanging out with hostages? I don't know. But Hasan does a good way of deflecting it and being like, oh, no, this is just funny, silly stuff. You know what I mean? Awesome. Moving on to the next part. Here's more terrorcore tweets, I like to call them, from our friend cute Luffy in IRL. There's a couple more for you guys to enjoy. This one is whatever. This one is the ships we bombed and sank. Okay, not him, because he's not a Houthi, but apparently they bombed and sank stuff. To every Zionist, I will put this into your stomach. It's him once again with an assault rifle, looks like an AK-47. So that's the second death threat he's made against Zionists. And of course, as we know that he loves in his song, Son of a Jew, we will kill you. There's a healthy distinction here between Zionists and Jews. And therefore, why should I care at all that Hasan is propping up a dude who's threatening to kill Zionists, who clearly has no healthy distinction between the two? And he continues to blur the lines between people who say Zionists and people who mean like normal-ass people who aren't fucking like genocide committers, and opening the door to rampant, blatant, open anti-Semitism of the guys using the slur Zionism, which has no fucking meaning, no definition, because it's so broad, it's so nebulous, it means nothing. And it can be employed 1,000 different ways, 1,000 different people, and people use it just as a matter of fact, like everybody knows what it means. People started calling Bernie Sanders and AOC Zionists. I forget why, but they did something that everyone perceived as being pro-Israel or something, and now they're Zionists. And you know, it's like, well, I know AOC's not a Zionist. You know what I mean? But according to him, we need to kill her. We need to put her on a spike. We need to put AOC on a spike, kill her, shoot her with a gun. That's what Hasan thinks is not a problem. Moving on. So I don't know. Is he affiliated with the Houthis? I mean, listen. At this point, I believe that it's impossible to deny. I do. I think it's impossible to deny that this kid is affiliated, deeply involved with the Houthis. He's on ships. He's blowing up ships. He's hanging out with hostages. He's walking around with guns, combat fatigues. There's enough evidence, all right, to at least be like, hey, you know what? Let's not fucking spike Zionists, okay? But no, his fans, here's what they do. They first call me a liar, that the tweet's not real. Then, once the tweet's real, they say he's not a Houthi. So, also you're lying. There's no point to which reality catches up with these people. There's no point in which me presenting facts, disputable facts, will change their mind that whatever they're obsessed with is real, and that me, a Zionist, is lying. That's the beginning, and that's the end. Maybe, and then I see people, the next part of the argument is this. So, you're lying, it's not a real tweet. Okay, it's a real tweet. Well, he's not a Houthi. You're lying about that. Okay, fine, he might be affiliated with Houthis, but Houthis are actually awesome. seen Hasan say that a lot, and I'll show it to you as I move on. Houthis are awesome. I've even heard people, the likes of Norm Finkelstein, saying that they should be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, the Houthis. And Hasan very much is a fan of the Houthis, which I'll show. Let's start with the Houthi flag. Here is their official flag of the Houthi terrorist organization. It says, Allah Akbar, death to America, death to Israel, curse the Jews, victory to Islam. This is their flag. This is their pirate flag. What do you call it? There's a name for that. It's like a catchy name for it. I think someone's whatever. It doesn't matter. It's their pirate flag. Death. Now again, a Jolly Roger. Thank you guys. Now again, death to Israel, curse the Jews. Not a great distinction between Zionism and Jews. And this is basically their flag. So, I mean, this is equal to people who are trying to tell me like Hamas revised their charter in 2016, so therefore they no longer want to kill Jews. It's like, give me a fucking break. You would never run this kind of defense for the obvious dog whistling that you see by terrorist organizations. If it was about any other minority group. They changed their, actually, they didn't change it. They added a new chapter. They didn't even change the original charter. It still stands as it is, unedited. But they added like a new chapter that's like, actually, we don't hate Jews. We just hate Israel. In 2016, when they realized how important the information warfare was happening online, on TikTok, on Twitter, and of course they were right. We can all see that they've been very successful in that, in spreading that. It's gone all the way up to Hasan, which is now accepted form of discourse that Hamas somehow doesn't hate Jews because they up. Anyway, besides the point, this is the Houthi flag. Thank you. Up next. Recently, the Houthis were in the news for sentencing 13 to public execution on homosexuality charges. There's a common theme here. In Houthi-controlled Yemen, here they are doing a Heil Hitler. Is there any other explanation for this other than just doing Heil Hitler? Taking an oath of allegiance to the Houthis. I mean, it certainly looks like a Heil Hitler, but okay. Maybe they're just maybe it's just a coincidence that the guy in their flag right here that says curse upon the Jews is doing a Heil Hitler. But at any rate, they're executing gay people publicly. That's not cool. They are taking boats indiscriminately. Another talk about you hear about these terrorists is that they're only targeting Israeli-controlled ships affiliated with Israel. In fact, Houthis are taking boats indiscriminately. They are terrorizing the entire sea there. And once again, a huge number of these ships have nothing to do with Israel. Here's an excerpt from this BBC article. The Houthis initially said they were attacking ships connected with Israel or headed to or from there. However, many of the vessels have no connection with Israel. Major shipping companies have stopped using the Red Sea, through which almost 15% of global seaborne trade usually passes, and are using a much longer route around southern Africa instead. So, once again, people run defense for the Houthis, Hasan included, saying, as I'll show you later, that they only target Israel ships. It's not true. Not only that, they board these ships, they take hostages, and then, guess what? They disappear. We don't even know where the fuck they are. They kidnap people. None of them Israeli, by the way. And apparently they hang out and have parties with this cute youth Houthi kid. But other than that, we don't know where they are. We don't know what they want. We don't know if they're alive. And it's just a fun game we like to play with the good guys over at the Houthis. Here's a CNN article about them imprisoning shipping crew hostages indefinitely. Let's take a look here, just for your enjoyment. Hope is fading for imminent return of the international crew of the cargo ship hijacked by Houthis in November. The senior Filipino diplomat saying he does not expect a release date until the war in Gaza is over. Houthi-owned helicopter hijacked the Galaxy cargo ship November 19 in the Red Sea. So yeah, they took these hostages. None of them are Israeli. In fact, I have a rundown of their nationality here. Hostages taken from the Galaxy. Yeah, thank you. The hostages comprise of 17 Filipinos, 2 Bulgarians, 3 Ukrainians, 2 Mexicans, and 1 Romanian. 22 hostages, 0 Israelis, 0 Americans. I mean, even the only European one is Ukrainian. Yeah. And so, what did I say? What did I say? Anyway, what I meant to say, 2 from Bulgaria and 1 from Romania. That's correct. Okay. Yeah. Excuse me. So they've taken a ton of hostages, none of them even relevant to this conflict, and they are holding them indefinitely, and nobody knows what's going on with them, if they're alive, if they're dead, if they're being treated well, if they're being mistreated. It's a mystery. They're probably trying to shake down countries, sell back the hostages, or just, I don't know. But that's what's going on with the great guys over at the Houthis, kidnapping random working class people from random countries. And by the way, may I say that crew is extraordinarily more multinational. I mean, we should be what a global workforce they have there. Oh, excuse me. Here it gets better. The Houthis have been arbitrarily kidnapping aid workers helping in the famine in Yemen. There's a terrible famine happening in Yemen. Terrible, terrible humanitarian crisis. But the Houthis have decided to start arbitrarily kidnapping people who are there to help the humanitarian crisis. They're charity workers. And once again, just like the hostages, they're kind of just disappeared. They don't know where they are, what's happened to them, if they're dead, if they're alive, if they're safe. They just kind of took them, and that's that. This is a press release from the United Nations. Just to read a quote here. The targeting of humanitarians in Yemen, including arbitrary detention, intimidation, mistreatment, and false allegations, must stop. And all those detained must be released immediately, they stressed. So they're not, frankly, trying to help the humanitarian crisis happening in their country. And it's tragic. It really is. These are not good people. In fact, they're quite evil, it seems. So, with all that being said, I feel like I've established that the Houthis are a terrible group of people. I'm sure there's a million other things I could say about them. But Hasan interviews this kid who is almost certainly affiliated with Houthis and asks him a few hard-hitting questions. Let's take a look at some of them.
Okay, this is a stupid question. Okay, you can preface it with that. Does he know what One Piece is?
أول شيء بقول لك إنه ممكن هذا السؤال يكون شوي أهبل بس بسألك تعرف شو هو One Piece؟ عمرك سمعت ب One Piece؟
أكيد يعني منذ الطفولة وأنا أشاهد One Piece. Luffy.
Luffy?
Yeah, he said he's been watching it since he was a kid.
No way!
Yeah.
That's sick. Yes. That's fire. That's so fire. Oh my God. We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
بقول لك حسن إنه اللي
So this is a meme. He's saying the Houthi pirates are like Luffy. Luffy, of course, is this irreverent, fun-loving, happy, lovable character who just wants to experience freedom on the high seas. And it appeals to youth, appeals to young people. And Hasan is working overtime to convince people that this child, who is a terrorist, not child, he's like 20. This kid who's a terrorist is just like Luffy. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I've only seen halfway through One Piece, so I don't know. But I don't remember Luffy flying this Jolly Roger. Death to America, death to Israel, curse to the Jews. That was not on his Jolly Roger. But once again, there's time. There's time for it to change. Apparently, there's a big tone change in the second half. You know what? I'm more interested in than sewing out that he's seen an episode of One Piece. The fact that he admitted to spending time with fucking Chinese vessel hostages that were kidnapped by the Houthis. That would warrant a good follow-up question. But it's unabashed pro-terrorist propaganda that he's chosen, and that is what we're witnessing. This whole interview is frankly disgusting, in my opinion. It's shameful. Twitch should be ashamed. I don't know how he continues to show terrorist propaganda. It is quite alarming, and I genuinely don't understand it. And that's not even the worst of it. We'll continue. This is from yesterday. Okay. He compared this kid to Anne Frank. Let's take a look. Is this from yesterday? Yeah, it's from yesterday. It's a conversation with Asmongold.
A teenager.
Who I denounced, by the way, in the strongest terms. The man said insanely terrible things, accusing Arabs and Muslims of coming from an inferior culture is absolutely pathetic, and something that I deeply disagree and oppose. Okay. That being said, in this conversation, this is what Hasan told him about the cute Houthi pirate.
From Yemen, okay? Who everyone called, myself included, called Timothy Charlemagne or Chalamet.
Is that the One Piece one?
Yeah, exactly. Now this kid is like, I think he was like 19 at the time when I talked to him, which means that for most of his life he has withstood, right?
Sure.
Like he is a person whose only experience is like, it's literally like talking to fucking Anne Frank, basically. Okay, being able to talk to Anne Frank in real time.
Once again, I find this comparison insidious for a few reasons. First of all, I don't remember this page from Anne Frank's journal, but again, it's been a long time since I read it. I don't recall this this picture of saying, we will spike all Nazis through all Germans through the asshole and mouth and wish them a gruesome death. Wasn't in there, actually. Also, I find that conjuring of a Jewish victim of Nazi Holocaust is a intentional play to further blur the lines of anti-Semitism and to try to take away from, try to exploit the suffering that happened on the Holocaust, once again, not related to Israel at all, to somehow this Houthi kid. He's cheapening what happened to Anne Frank, frankly. This kid, I'm sure, grew up in terrible conditions. There's no doubt Yemen is in a terrible state. However, we don't, as society, as a species, while we can appreciate where people came from and why they turned out the way, it will never excuse violent, hateful behavior, right? We all understand that. We all know that. Anne Frank was an innocent girl who was, whole family, including her, except her dad, was murdered by the Nazis. And once again, as I say this, I know people are thinking, oh, well, what Israel's doing to Gaza right now? Once again, I remind you, people who are trying to convince me and others that Zionism has nothing to do with Israel or nothing to do with Judaism, I would remind you to take a step back and wonder, why is it you're thinking that? Because the Nazi Holocaust has nothing to do with Israel. It has to do with Judaism. So why am I being told not to care about this? Because of what's happening in Gaza. Make it make sense. Please. I don't get it. Yeah, I found this honestly disgusting. It's vile. And frankly, he should be ashamed. He should be. And frankly, again, Twitch continues to allow him to spread terrorist propaganda with impunity without even seemingly a warning. Here he is showing 2 weeks ago. This is once again recent. Shows Houthi terrorist propaganda video. The kind of stuff that kind of reminds me of like Al Qaeda and ISIS propaganda videos that they would put out. That's just like, well, I'll show it. Here's Hasan. And once again, if he's commenting on it, if he's critiquing it, that's one thing. But he presents it and he walks out of the room. He presents it with zero critical analysis, just a full-on endorsement of this terrorist organization right here on Twitch. Now, I don't know if you remember, but basically this is what caused the apocalypse on YouTube, is that ads were showing up next to ISIS videos. And here is Hasan, their darling creator, who has tons of ads running on his channel, showing to his audience who is willing to receive everything he's saying without much critical thought. No offense, but at least to the ones that were in the subreddit calling me a liar, that Houthis are awesome.
Yeah, like we took that fucking
2 weeks
Saudi
ago.
deal.
You did?
Oh yeah, me and XUC both.
Oh, no, damn,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, we did. I'm sorry, I needed the money.
Oh, you want to see a Houthi musical?
Sure.
These were the people that the Saudis were killing, by the way.
Zach,
just so you know, these fucking.
Sorry, the sound pack is falling off here.
It's falling off.
I'll just put it on the table.
Okay.
Actually, it's fine. Yeah. Just make sure it doesn't fall. Should I put it on the ground?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Here, let's continue.
And musically gifted individuals.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, I need the money, guys.
I'm gonna drop my food.
Let me read the words for you to enjoy.
The money, guys.
Now, once again, I feel that we should throw up. We disavow this video, Nate, because on YouTube, they actually don't allow terrorist propaganda videos to play. And I want to make it very clear that I actually do not condone this. I think these guys are terrorists, and they're dangerous, and this is dangerous propaganda, and I'm watching it for critical reasons. Is it up, Nate? Yeah, throw that up when I watch this, because frankly, I'm risking my ass watching this clip. Yeah, fuck the Houthis. So he introduces it as a fun Houthi musical.
Musically gifted individuals.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, I need the money, guys.
We do not care. We do not care. Make it a major world war. Great. Good messaging. Shooting, their heart longs for master rifles and assault rifles. Very good. Very cool. He gets up and leaves his poor friend there in the trenches, taking Houthi terrorism propaganda to the dome. And I've seen this clip, man. This poor guy has no idea what's going on. He's obviously not very savvy with politics. And this man just left him fucking like George Bush when he heard 9/11 happen. You know what I mean? By God, I forbid myself this life. Ask your excellence in your height. They're showing what's his name? MB, the king, the new guy of Saudi Arabia, the crown prince. Apparently they want to kill him. There was a war there, and they want to kill him, so that's why they're showing him. MBS? Yeah. Yeah, he's just talking about their military campaigns, and this poor guy, I wish I had this at a higher quality. Let's see. This poor fucking guy is like, what the hell is happening right now? Did they, yeah. By the way, notice the age of these kids dancing with guns and rifles. And how old would you say these kids are here? To me, they look 15. Just saying. The Houthis have child soldiers. They recruit them. They encourage them. It's part of their army. And he, terrible as life's been, well, he's not even a child soldier at this point. He's like 20. Hasan comes back from the bathroom. We've now digested a minute and 10 seconds of unmitigated terrorist propaganda. Here they are holding up the signs, as I pointed out, that says death to Israel, curse upon the Jews, death to America, right there on display.
A 3-minute video of, what do you mean a music video? When you said music video, I'm expecting like, bad example, Chris Brown dancing, you know?
No. They do like,
they
do musicals. They're very musical people.
Are you being serious?
Dog, what do you look? You think I made this?
This isn't music. I know they're singing, but I'm seeing just guns and shit. This isn't a music video, Hasan.
No, it is. They do musicals about like their fucking like their actions all the time.
Yeah, that's called terrorist propaganda. They do it to package it in a nice way to appeal to a broader audience. And Hasan is doing exactly their bidding, more than they could have ever dreamed of, by broadcasting this directly into the main line of Twitch.
And they love walking over. They love walking over like the American flag and the Israeli flag side by side. They will always like march on it. I'm surprised they haven't done it yet.
We stormed Al Dude, military, Saudi military style. Again, they're just talking about their military exploits at this point.
He's saying they do not care about the heavy missiles. Like they will literally take the war to them no matter what.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. And once again, sharing very supportive, flowery, supportive language about the Houthis, who, as I've shown, is a disgusting, vicious terrorist organization.
It's an act of, for them, it's an act of resistance. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
This poor guy, man. He did not sign up for this.
He's in OTK. And
I was wondering who he is. He's pretty funny.
Yeah, Nick Pollum.
Is he a WoW player?
Back in the days, yeah.
What does he do?
Yeah, it's a WoW.
He's a gamer.
Originally a WoW player.
I don't know anything about him, but I thought he was very funny and likable in these clips.
Yeah, he's great. He's a funny guy.
Oh my God.
He wasn't mean to Hasan, by the way, or like judgy. He was just like, what the fuck is happening? So he handled himself pretty well.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Oh man.
Yes.
You know what? I also took a McDonald's sponsor and I drink Starbucks.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. Don't hate me.
Busted.
Good job.
So there it is. Yeah. That right there. Something similar to that caused the apocalypse on YouTube. Twitch, however, I think it's officially sanctioned by the CEO. I say that because he said Hasan's his favorite streamer. You really see filmed forcing the Twitch staff to wish him happy birthday. He seems, by all accounts, to be a big Hasan supporter. And God bless him. You know, he's the CEO. It's his ship to steer. Interesting choice, though. Now, when I saw this interview, I thought surely this is too far. Like something's got to give. He'll maybe get at least like suspended for a day or two, just so that just to make a point. Like, hey, let's chill out on the terrorist propaganda. Nothing, and their continued basically silent support of him has emboldened him, in my opinion, to get even more reckless and ridiculous with his platform. We'll move on to the next part. Moving on to this, he shows him another Houthi terrorist propaganda video of them hijacking. Wrong doc. 1 sec here, guys. 17.5. Oh shit! I closed my doc. 1 sec. Let me open this. He shows him a video of when they board this vessel via helicopter and kidnap all these workers from different countries unrelated to the conflict in Israel. The Galaxy. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. Yeah, it would be this one right here. Thank you for waiting patiently.
We have the, yeah, here it is.
How should I pull this up? I should download it. Here, let me just download it. Sorry, this was kind of put together. best I could with what time I had. Here it is, downloading. So yeah, here he is presenting this entire video once again with zero critical commentary. In fact, the opposite. Blatant encouragement and enjoyment.
We have the here it is.
This is Rust,
bro. They fucking look at this. They got the Palestinian flag that they painted under the helicopter with the Yemen flag. They fucking overtake. They start overtaking the ships, and they're like, "Guess what, dog? No more trade to Israel. If you're an Israeli, if you're owned by an Israeli corporation, or if you are actually sending ships to the Israeli port of it's not Eilat, it's the other one that is now bankrupt.
It's Eilat that is suffering.
What was the other port? Haifa, right? Is it Haifa? Is Haifa the bankrupt one? Anyway, there's a lot of information. I can't recall all of it. But they go, if you are sending ships into Israel, if you are owned by an Israeli subsidiary, if you're owned by an Israeli corporation, we're going to take over your ship. You cannot fucking use this trade route anymore. Guess what, bitch? It's our fucking territorial boundary, and we're going to enforce this until you stop doing genocide in Gaza. Because they say it. They're like, listen,
the problem so far, of course,
we're not a fan of you.
Is that he's either wrong or intentionally lying, although he's pretty savvy, so I have a hard time concluding anything but that he's intentionally lying. Because, of course, a huge portion of the ships that they've attacked, commandeered, have nothing to do with Israel. And I'll also say Israeli imports are slightly affected, but totally fine. West Africa and poor countries like that are the ones being hardest hit by this terrorism, raising the cost of foods on the poorest countries that need it the most, and limiting their access to. But the problem here is, of course, that he's just straight up lying. They don't just target Israeli ships; they're attacking everybody, and that's called terrorism. And apparently, as long as you put a Palestinian flag in your terrorist propaganda video and say you're doing it on behalf of them, you get a pass. In fact, the Palestinian cause is an important cause, one that I support. As I've said, I've donated, I support, I desperately want the war to end, and I'm heartbroken by all the tragedy I see there. But certainly, I don't see how this is helping anybody. And of course, he's lying. He's doing Houthi propaganda by lying about what they do and who they are.
This is a group of people that are like, no, we care about the Palestinians. We don't want you bombing them. So we're going to fucking take action. And we're going to try to punish you economically to the best of our ability. And by God, they started doing that, and they were doing it real well. So they started taking over these ships. They started targeting the ship.
Appreciate the flowery language.
They're like, hey, where are you going? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. If you're trying to get in there, we're going to fucking bomb you.
Are there people on this helicopter right now?
Yes. What do you mean? Of course there are people on this helicopter. What do you think? It's a fucking drone?
Kind of, from this angle.
No, there are people on this helicopter.
Rude.
This is
By
like
the
a
way,
hostile
Rude,
unit
Sean,
streaming?
it does kind of look like a drone. Just saying. It was a reasonable question.
Yeah, they're flexing.
Here they are boarding
And
the ship.
they're coming in hot with guns.
Yeah, but you have to understand this.
Literally,
is right? So, like, their
a
goal
fucking
is to
CS:GO
film it.
campaign. I feel like there's one of these maps for sure.
Modern Warfare, yeah.
Modern Warfare. Play.
And show it to the world, so like other companies that don't want to risk having this happen to their product, having this happen to their ships, literally are like, okay, we're not going to use the trade route anymore. All of a sudden, if you don't use the trade route, trade gets more expensive for the West. All of a sudden, if you can't use that trade route,
for everybody.
The Israeli port
Once
is going
again,
to get banned.
a totally ridiculous reading of the situation. It doesn't just get expensive for the West, and the West can afford it. The West, you know what I mean? It's the poorer countries, the West African countries, that it gets expensive for, that it hurts them way more. And in fact, like I said, Israel imports are relatively fine.
Bankrupt. Israel is not going to be able to get the materials in time that they need for waging their war. Israeli society is going to start getting upset. They're going to be like, I can't get my treats. I can't get my Amazon Prime deliveries. What the fuck is going on? I hate this. Israel sucks. I'm leaving Israel. That's the goal.
But again, I just have to comment, just kind of almost as an aside, but getting people to leave Israel, like 80% of the people in Israel are citizens who were born there. They don't have anywhere to go. This is part of the fucking problem with this conversation that I have to explain to people. The Israelis cannot go back to Europe. There's literally nowhere else in the world for them to go. As I said, Elo's parents were born in Israel. So it's like, the country's been there almost, coming up 100 years. They like 80% of the people were born there. Okay, who's leaving? And I guarantee you the people in Israel would love to leave if they could. I'll tell you, I've known a lot of Israelis who are able to immigrate to America, and that's like the dream there. Trust me, you think they fucking want to be there? Most of those motherfuckers can't wait to get out of there if there's any chance. That's the truth. You know what I mean? Do we have the full video? I'm curious to finish because well, anyway, I'll just describe it. The rest of the video shows them going through the ship with their guns drawn and essentially hog-tying these workers and taking them hostages. Once again, from a grouping of countries, none of them Israel, America, or even Europe, with the exception of Ukraine. Most of them Filipino. Those guys are like, what the fuck? Like, what did I do? Thank you, Dan. Here it is. This is the video. And again, let's throw up the disavow, because here on YouTube, at least when you show when you show terrorist propaganda, generally results in an issue. I'm presenting with critical commentary, and of course, this is the rest of the video. Yeah, they're just going through the ship, kidnapping people, taking the boat, yada, yada. It's the whole thing. And so this is, again, the people that Hasan is uncritically hyping up as some kind of heroes, and totally. And by the way, everyone you saw in that video, by the way, who was being kidnapped, missing, unaccounted for. Where are they? That's part of the fun of being kidnapped by Houthis. Nobody knows. Where are the aid workers working in Yemen who are arbitrarily detained? Nobody knows. These are not good people. These are terrible people. These are religious zealots. These are violent, terrible people that are making the material conditions in Yemen, as far as I can tell, even worse, in an already terrible situation. And Hasan is here running cover for them, whitewashing them, making them palatable to a general audience in the West. And all of this, once again, reminding you of their flag. It says, "Death to Israel, curse upon the Jews." All of this contributes to a rising sense of anti-Semitism, of unsafeness that Jews feel around the world. And this, once again, blurring the line of the phrase Zionist with Jew. So there is that. Let's see what else we got here. Catch back up to my spot. Deleted this part. And then, of course, our lovely terrorist, cute terrorist here, was quick to embrace the meme. Now, I watched that interview with him. Even Hasan said in the fucking interview that he was surprised by how media trained he was. So why is everyone going to be like, oh, he said he's not a Houthi. He said he doesn't hate Jews. This man said in his interview he's surprised by how media trained he is. They know what they're doing. Propaganda is a big part of their arsenal. They're very good at it. But for some reason, when it comes to talking to this obvious terrorist, Hasan's like, hey, man, I'll just take him at face value. He's super media trained. He won't answer any of my questions, but I guess I believe him. Give me a fucking break. Here he is, quick to capitalize. He said, I do not know who designed the picture, but if Hasan wants to join us in the operation of Israeli ships, we welcome you. Again, not zero Israeli ships, which is funny. Propaganda, lies. Zero Israeli ships. And here they are, the two amigos. Although in this case, they'd be not amigo. Would they be pirates? Thank you. Here's another one. He's loving it. Let's get this dude a Nobel Peace Prize, by golly. Fuck Israel. We are coming. We are coming. Ready for anything. And yes, just like Houthi. Or just like Luffy. Houthi, Luffy. It does rhyme. Maybe there is more resemblance. But yes, unfortunately, it's hard to pull all of his tweets, although I found enough of them, clearly. But he was banned on all social media platforms. A lot of people tell you because he's being silenced, because the American government is what yada yada, and yada yada, corporate businesses, whatever. I mean, he was posting death threats against, So I think we can all agree that's probably a good thing there. So I don't know how many people still think this kid is awesome and cool, and, you know, let's keep hyping him up. He's the man. Hasan clearly believes that as early as yesterday. He compared, once again, a reminder, he compared this kid to Anne Frank. Yes, Anne Frank, who, once again, important to say, has nothing to do with Israel. Think about how you do that in your brain, and you'll realize the problem. Anne Frank was in an attic with her family, hiding from Nazis. Her entire family, including her, were killed, except her dad. She wrote about like peace and philosophy and all. She was a lovely young girl that wrote about lovely, beautiful thoughts in her diary. You know, she persevered through all of it with like a very positive, hopeful outlook. And that's part of what is so striking about her diary that makes it such a time-held read. You know what I mean? This kid is a terrorist, and he's posting death threats on Twitter. You know? It's, you know. And again, I know it's like, it's not, it's Saudi Arabia that's doing the genocide on Yemen, right? That's the war. Israel's never invaded Yemen. So it's like, it's almost like he's being like, oh, he's getting genocided. I don't know. It's all kind of a little nebulous. All the Gulf states were attacking with U.S. support. Okay. Of course, we had something to do with that. But regardless, I don't know. Now, if you want to compare a kid, whatever. Okay, I'm not going to split hairs here. So once again, yeah, when you say Zionist, I would love to know, what is it you mean? Do you mean it like the Houthis? Mean it? Or do you mean it like a liberal Israeli talking about Western settler expansionism? This is a conversation that needs to happen. That's not happening. In fact, when a Jewish person like myself says that this is a conversation that needs to happen, I'm overwhelmed with comments telling me that because of what's happening in Gaza, we just don't have the bandwidth to care about that right now. Or, say what? All good? And I mean, listen, I don't even need a list. You guys have seen it, okay? You've seen it. You know what happens. There's one more post here before we move on. When I started posting about this stuff, I always deal with this. So again, this is part of why I just need to talk about it. I know you guys don't like when I talk about Hasan. Well, I appreciate there's a lot of crossover, and I'm grateful to those of you who are able to watch this both. It's impossible for me to ignore that the majority of these people coming from are people coming from his community. Something his and his audience refused to reckon with. Hasan's whitewashing of that Houthi kid, says he wants to spear all Zionists to death, was frankly disgusting. I don't give a fuck that he's seen an episode of One Piece. I'd like to know why he's hanging out with boat captain of Chinese cargo vessels, a.k.a. a hostage. And as more info has come out about this kid being a terrorist affiliated and being anti-Semitic, lots more. There's a lot more examples. Obviously, I didn't pull all of them, but I think I pulled enough. Hasan has refused to disavow him. In fact, the opposite. He continues to prop him up as a trustworthy, reliable, good guy to look up to and to consume media and messaging from. The reason I brought this up is because this was the guy who told me to kill myself on Twitter. And I suspected he must be a Hasan fan, but I didn't know. But then, so Comrade Casey, Hasan fan, the guy who did the initial tweet, Hasan Kader. This is chat from Hasan's Discord. They're all part of this community. I mean, again, just to emphasize, I know Hasan has tried to get them to back off. I know that We're not responsible for everything we do. Our audience does. But for some reason, I feel that when our audience goes too far, I'm pretty quick to call them out and to try to stem bad stuff. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. That being said, for whatever reason, I find that a lot of anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, weird, obsessive fucking harassment is pretty much 80% Hasan fans. That's just the empirical fact of the matter. But I know that, Hasan does rebuke the people who say mean things about me in chat. So obviously, not a personal attack, but certainly there's something in the water. Okay? You know what I mean? All right, so moving on to the final part, which is short, is Hasan denying rapes on October 7th. The popular talking point, something that I've seen, supported by pretty much the most random, bigots on Twitter to the most mainstream commentary people. Everybody is somehow caught on or agreed. Once again, just like the Houthi spike tweet when everyone rushed in to tell me I'm fake and I'm like a piece of shit and I hate Arabs, are the same people denying the October 7th rapes. And the reason I say that, before I even watch these clips, is okay, the UN is often cited source by pro-Palestinian activists and all their rebucation of Israel. Well, here is a UN report, Sexual Violence and Conflict, Office of the Special Representation of the Secretary General. They did a mission report on October 7th, sexual violence. And I'll go down, I'll spare you guys this long, long document and read the conclusion, which is succinct and to the point. Conclusion. Overall, based on the totality of information gathered from multiple and independent sources at the different locations, there are reasonable grounds to believe that conflict-related sexual violence occurred at several locations across Gaza periphery, including in the form of rape, gang rape, during the 7th of October attacks, credible circumstantial information which may be indicative of some forms of sexual violence, including genital mutilation, sexualized torture, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment, was also gathered. This is the UN. In the beginning, a lot of people weren't comfortable coming forward. As time's gone on, there's more and more firsthand accounts coming forward of women telling their story of watching it happen. And in my opinion, it's impossible to deny it. And the active attempt to is vile. It's frankly vile. And it's just painfully ironic, which this whole thing is, because I feel like the left really cares about racism. You know, they've built the whole platform on it over the past decade, 2 decades, but like all of a sudden, you know, they're nowhere to be found. They're accusing women just because they're Israeli of lying about being raped. There are women on record in interviews, in these reports, on record saying I was raped. You know, it's the problem too, by the way. Generally, if you're being raped by a bunch of terrorists during a terrorist attack, you're probably going to be murdered as well. Most people raped were probably murdered. But there's still firsthand accounts, and plenty of them. And they're being denied. And it's not so much like the anti-Semitism, because once again, I'm going to do my best to separate it. These are Israelis, okay? But it's the disgusting hypocrisy. It's the cognitive dissonance. It's the like MAGA brain. I mean, this is left-wing MAGA. Following dogma before facts, all the way to the fucking end of the game, okay? And Hasan, once again, contributing to this atmosphere of disgusting rape denial, which, again, something that over the last 10 years we've agreed is a terrible thing. We've all said, believe victims, support women, but apparently when they're Israeli civilians, they're lying. Here he is, laughing when Kamala mentions October 7 rapes. Let's see.
October 7, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply attending a music festival.
Objectively true.
Women were horribly raped.
Now, when she says women were horribly raped, you'll notice Hasan bows his head with a giggle. He's smart enough not to outright say they're lying, but he's signaling to his audience quite clearly, I'll say, this is not a dog whistle, it's a dog shout, that he doesn't believe them. And it's echoed in the chat. I mean, you can all see, and I'll show you guys, that the chat turns into a frenzy of calling her a Zionist and a liar. These are leftists. These are people who support women. Blows my fucking mind. There's no consistency. It's a total farce.
Raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel had...
What's funny about that, Hasan? What do you think his audience is getting from that?
A rightly raped. As I said then, I say...
Like, did she really go there? Yeah, it happened, bro. Sorry. Let's go ahead and read the comments. Maybe I'm misinterpreting.
Today, Israel...
Let me zoom in so you can read this.
Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters.
And once again, I don't even think her statement, I think she's doing a pretty good job. She says they have a right to defend themselves, as all countries do. But how they defend themselves matters. That's true, right? I think we all agree. I think even a lot of people who are critical of Israel would say they had a right to defend themselves up to a point, but then it became, this horrible humanitarian crisis with mass murder, right? And so at what point, where is that point, right? But once again, and in recent news, the president put out a warning to Israel saying that if they don't fix the humanitarian crisis happening in Gaza, that they're going to pull embargo. They're going to do embargo on arms. So, she's not giving Israel a blank check by any means, And so then they're going to turn on her and call her a Zionist because she said there's rapes on October 7th, which is just factual.
Far too many innocent Palestinians.
Kamala, you dipshit, stop lying. I hate that they always say that. Is there a better way to fucking... Gross. Boo. Oh my God, with these fucking lies. We are so cooked. Again with this shit. Goddamn, stop repeating this fucking lie. We're still perpetuating this shit. Fuck you, Kamaga. Ironically, this is MAGA behavior right here, calling these women liars in the face of irrefutable evidence, in my opinion. Overwhelming evidence, let's say. God, this chat scroll is so weird. It goes so fast, but then when I click, it doesn't move. Come on now. Jesus, where's the chat? I mean, you guys get the picture. It's easy to go. You can review his chat logs. They're not pretty, and they never are. They're horrible, frankly. Fuck off. No proof. Me when I lie. Once again, these are probably, we support women. We believe women, people. Literally empty vessels of a human being. Justifying genocide. She literally didn't, by the way. She literally said the opposite, that like to a point, and then she's criticizes Israel, making this shit up again. Kamala, stop. This is a lie. It's pretty much every other comment. Fucking lies, you bitch. Black card revoked. I guess Hasan's audience has that authority. I didn't know that. Weasley, little liar, dude. Hasan meme. So my point is that like he's signaling to the audience, and they're very much picking up what he's putting out, you know. And once again, without saying anything, look at the discourse happening. Look at the discourse happening. This is not good. This is not good. Holocaust Harris. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Sorry, the scrolling is just so bad, but you guys get the point, I think, by now. So that's just one. There's more. There's another one. Can't help but laugh. Oh, where the fuck's the other one? I feel like it got erased. There was another one of him telling, talking to chat, when he says Hamas rapes, what rapes? Where did that go? Oh shit, you're right. This is my bad. Yeah, it's been here the whole fucking time. Sorry, I'm tired. I got 4 hours of sleep yesterday and last night. Not good. My app is yelling at me.
There's no future.
Okay, first of all, I just have to say, is there not a fucking TikTok filter? Why does his head look so big? He looks like a bobblehead. Does that look real, or am I tripping out?
There's no future of prosperity and peace.
Am I tripping out, or does that look normal? Tripping me out. Okay, so anyway.
Good
True.
point.
Good point.
What rapes did Hezbollah do? Bro, what rapes did fucking Hamas do? What are you talking about?
And I mean, there he kind of said it. He said, somebody brought up Hezbollah rapes, which again, I don't know anything about that. I haven't heard that. I don't know if that's a thing, if that's an accusation. I don't think I've even ever heard the Israeli government. But Hasan takes the prerogative to pivot into actually even Hamas didn't rape anybody. And there it is. Rape denial, calling women who were raped liars. Makes me wonder, what else are they willing to, what other close-held beliefs are they willing to throw in the dump in the pursuit of fulfilling their dogmatic vision of the world? Doesn't seem like a lot. We're coming up on the end here. Yeah, and one more time. Actually, no, we already did that. I'm going to read a few messages I got that I think were very important and good voices. 19 and 20. Let me read these over real fast. These are ones I shared. Oh, fuck. Wait. Oh, yeah, they're in here. Sorry. Fuck. How did I? Shit. Okay, here, down. All right. Almost made it through. But okay, we got this, guys. We got this. Once again, I say I felt like I was battling this war by myself, and literally nobody was backing me up. And it does feel like that sometimes as a Jewish person. And again, with all this conflation between Zionism and anti-Semitism, like imagine being a Jewish student on one of these campuses that's just trying to mind their own business and has like a Star David necklace. They're hiding their necklaces, man. Jews do not feel safe. Because people don't know the fucking difference. And who qualifies somebody to make that distinction? Who has the authority among us to decide who's the good Jew and who's the bad Jew? You know what I mean? Is it the activists? I've seen videos of them at the encampment on these colleges, and then they go, people are trying to come in and they go, "Are you a Zionist?" Well, what do you mean by that? You know? So this person is going to decide who's the good Jew and who's the bad Jew based on this nebulous statement that means 1,000 different things to 1,000 different people without clarifying what that means. I mean, it's bleeding right into anti-Semitism. It is. And the thing is that they've fully convinced themselves that they're not anti-Semitic. And that's why making this conversation is so fucking difficult, is because the Zionism excuse is perfect cover. It's perfect cover. It really is. All right, let me read this comment. We're almost done, I promise. Has this been going longer than I thought? I don't know how long we've been going.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
We're at 2 hours.
Oh, shit. It's 2 hours of me just doing this?
No, total.
Okay.
So started at
I'm almost done.
1.5 hours.
I saw finally some messages of support that made me feel like not totally alone. And I was so grateful of people who were coming and speaking out. And I just said, I want to thank you guys for your support this morning. I genuinely feel sometimes I am totally alone, constantly being gaslit by my own fans. And I shouldn't care about rising anti-Semitism. It's not real and it doesn't matter. You know, funny how anti-Zionists are so quick to explain how Zionism and Judaism, when I complain about anti-Semitism, they say, but what about Israel, etc., whatever. I've already said that point 1,000 times. I guess, so then there's one more here. Download. Thank you. We love it. Thank you so much. This was a statement from a Jewish individual who left a comment on the subreddit, which I'll read for you here. Being a Jew has been harder than I've ever experienced this year, not just in this community, but in general. I've lost lifelong friends simply because I'm Jewish. If you think that's a joke, it's not. My brother's best friend. My brother is like mega liberal. Like he is like what he wouldn't concede is that he didn't want to destroy Israel. And one of his lifelong friends literally stopped talking to him and called him Zionist, genocide supporter and stuff. My brother. This shit is happening to every Jew across the country. And I encourage you, part of the propaganda that is really fucked is this notion that like there's the majority of Jews are anti-Zionist and don't care about it at all. And therefore, that's why you're not anti-Semitic. I encourage you guys to talk to your Jewish friends, to talk to the Jewish people close to you, and ask them. Because 90% of Jews in America, by the definition of most of these activists, would probably fall under the label of Zionists. And they see people wishing them death all the time on social media, in real life. I have a friend who lives in Silver Lake or somewhere, and there's like, constant, there's like a static protest there of just like death to Zionists and all this kinds of stuff. And he's walking outside his door, walking through that every day. He doesn't feel, you feel some type of way. I would like to break through that stigma. Genuinely ask the Jewish people in your life how they're feeling about what's happening and listen to them. And I don't think it's going to line up with what people like Hasan are telling you. I've lost lifelong friends simply because I'm Jewish. Ethan, I hope you guys know that there are so many people who love and support you and who look up to both you for standing up to the insane amount of anti-Semitism we're all facing. Dude, my throat is so fucked. Can I get some throat goat?
Anyway.
Anyway, he doesn't love fuck with medicine.
Hell no.
He spirit cooks with whale heads and baby
brown liquid that they spit out of their mouths.
All right, how am I ending this? I was reading this. All right, I'm just going to read this through. Being a Jew has been harder than I've ever experienced this year, not just in this community, but in general. I've lost lifelong friends simply because I'm Jewish. Ethan, I hope you guys know that there's so many people who love and support you and who look up to both of you for standing up to the insane amount of anti-Semitism we're all facing. We look to you guys to feel less alone, and we do. But it's so hard to watch. It's so hard to feel. A portion of this community has gone to complete shit, and it's so scary to see. Specifically with crossover between us and Hasan's community. Seeing Ethan's Instagram stories right now literally made my stomach drop. Nobody who isn't Jewish understands or even cares. At least that's what it feels like. And I have to agree. This is, sometimes, a lot of times, how it feels. When I'm talking about anti-Semitism and my supposed friend goes on stream and says like, well, that's not really a problem. It's not. It doesn't happen. Essentially, is what he's saying. It doesn't happen. Everybody knows that's wrong. Nobody would be anti-Semitic. Nobody would dare. I'm off X completely, but the most popular fucking accounts on X that I'm seeing now is just straight up Jewish conspiracy theories, just vile fucking shit. Dan Blazarian, this one UFC fighter, this guy is such an idiot. And you can be the dumbest nobody and just post the most god-awful anti-Zionist or just full-on Jewish conspiracy and hate. And these posts are getting hundreds of thousands of likes. I know it's Twitter, and Twitter isn't real life, and I'm off Twitter. But it's hard not to be affected by that. And I mean, let's be real. If that was targeting whatever group you might be a part of, yeah, I don't think you'd be so quick to tell people it doesn't matter. No, they're not Blazarian. There's another UFC guy who's like so evil. He's an ugly motherfucker. He's just evil as hell. I can't remember his name. Portion of this community, the yada, seeing Ethan's Instagram stories right now literally made my stomach drop. Nobody who isn't Jewish understands or even cares. At least that's what it feels like. I'm not speaking about Zionism, Israel, Palestine, or anything related to that. What I'm speaking about is being Jewish. Every time I see a TikTok and someone says they're Jewish or wearing a Star of David necklace, or people just know they're Jewish, but the video has nothing to do with it, every single comment says Zionist, free Palestine, genocide, supporter, terrorists. And they're right. I challenge you to go to any post related to a Jewish person unaffiliated with Israel in any way and read the comments. You know. I responded, this is 100%. This is 100% of the Jews I know. We all know it and we all feel it. I mentioned this at the top, but remember during the Stop Asian Hate campaign during COVID and how the left backed them up and everyone rallied around them, rightfully so, of course. But I feel similar things are happening to Jews right now. And the same people who were rallying behind to stop Asian hate are telling the Jews to shut the fuck up. And frankly, that's how I felt when Hasan made that video saying Frogan's fears are valid and Ethan's are not. And that trickles down pretty much to the whole internet. That's 19. This is 20. And this is a really good statement from an Israeli leftist. I thought this was very good. This is right on, man. This is so good. Fuck. All right. As a Jew, is there even room for conversation with you people? Using the fact the subreddit is being bombarded by pro-Palestine, quote unquote, to ask this. I'm Israeli, born and raised. Grew up secular Jewish, quickly became atheist, left-wing, very active activist. Always have been from a very young age. I must say, ever since I started seeing the shit that Ethan and Eli are enduring, I asked myself, is there even room for us in the left-wing conversation? Israelis who want peace, who act for peace, who dedicated their lives to the cause of ending the conflict. Does anyone in the left care about these people? Clearly not, seeing what American Jews who don't even have any association with Israel, with the conflict, have to deal with. Like, I get the fuck Israel sentiment. Probably get it better than any outsider commenting on the conflict, and I do not feel like a victim. But the fact that even someone like Ethan is generalized under the same sentiment brings up a big question. Do people who support this sort of behavior even care about the conflict's resolution? Those of you who read all this, who aren't radical but do not understand why anti-Zionism ideology, such as the one that's being employed against Ethan, don't you see that's generalizing as any Israeli right-winger who voted and supports for our godforsaken government with the sentiment of fuck Hamas, fuck Gaza? Like what about the constant streams of many videos and photos of 400,000 plus civilians demonstrating in Tel Aviv and across the country for a ceasefire? What about the 2 years leading up to October 7th where Israel was in constant government limbo because half the country keeps voting to have a Nazi in charge? Sound familiar, America? Good point. And half the country sees his win as the end of their lives, and they know it, which literally did happen for a lot of people. At times it felt, and still does, as if we are on the verge of a civil war. Does all that count to you people demonizing Zionists, or do you just want to watch the videos that enforce your hatred. I wrote this in a comment, was responded with similar what about? Of what about everything that's happening in Gaza or has been happening in Palestine since the foundation of Israel and the heinous happenings of the Nakba? I say we should talk about all that. You know where we talk about it? In the fucking demonstrations in Israel, where we demonstrate against our government, screaming our lungs out, getting beaten by police, lighting fires, block roads, and spend every day of the last year plus. If you read about it, you'll see the demonstrations have been going nonstop for more than 3 years, and honestly fighting with more and more of our loved ones in order to say, this needs to stop now. Sorry, my throat is just... I think it made it worse. As a bystander with his feet on the ground, wiki feet on the ground, I can say from my viewpoint, nothing radicalized the Israeli public more than the inability of the American and global left to include any fucking Israelis in the left conversation. This is a point that I'm so glad is being brought up. Like, when Jews see this stuff, it's really hurting. It really radicalizing people, and it's pushing everyone away from each other in just a really fucking terrible way. As if that is the way to achieve any solution, as if generalizations aren't good only so far. If you ask me, this is the most extreme case of the left eating itself I've ever seen in my life, literally with its own activism, radicalizing and alienating people of Israel, so that we now not only hear any lefty is a traitor in here, which has been going on for years, but also every fence sitter that has ever existed knows that they would be naive forever believing the world doesn't hate us, and if they do it, it must be because of anti-Semitism. Oh, it's interesting. Never heard that one before. And then when I see what happens to Ethan, I'm baffled. Maybe they're right. Maybe it's all anti-Semitism. Maybe the crazy Passover songs from my childhood were right, and in every generation they do come for us. Don't actually think so, but I do see that even an American Jew who's arguably recused his Israeli wife from the fate of being born in this death-stained, horrible Holy Land, who donated $1,000 to a Palestinian organization, is constantly and maliciously being harassed online for being a Zionist. Do you think people who do that have any desire to have a conversation or an understanding or, God forbid, a positive effect on anything that they actually happen in the Middle East? Or are they all just looking around online for any public personality they know who was forced to have a bar mitzvah or has any association with the Star of David so they can use their new favorite K-word synonym? This is something that I really was trying to get across to Hasan when we first started talking about this. Like, I felt like I needed him to come connect with me at least a little bit. And the thing is, like, now he's full-blown denying rapes. And, it's like, I don't know. Here's another one. And this is the last one. I'm reading this once again. People are trying to obfuscate that, like, this isn't like a Hasan's community thing. I mean, I don't know how else to convince. It is. I might have to leave Hasan's sub. Might get hate for this, but I just want to say that I'm leaving Hasan's community. The struggle between him and Ethan has been hard for me, as I understand it's been for a lot of people. And like I emphasized, I'm grateful to you guys who are able to enjoy us both. And again, I'm not asking you to pick sides, and there's nothing wrong for you, a continued support of Hasan after this. No judgment on my part. In fact, like I said, there's still a road to us becoming friendly down the line. It's possible. For a long time, my beliefs align more with Hasan than Ethan, but I stay with H3 because this show is more than politics. At this point, though, Hasan's followers are honestly so far detached from reality, I can't stay. So many of them are trying to stand for what's right, which is good, but they only see black and white. Nothing in life works like that. There's always gray areas. There's always nuance. Ethan can acknowledge that what Israel is doing is wrong while still acknowledging the pain his people are facing. Hasan's community can't seem to see that there are two sides and that the other side are still people, even if they are wrong in their opinions. Well, I don't think, like, I'm not supporting the Israeli government. I can't follow any ideology that blindly. I don't know what the solution for the war is. I'm not a professional in any area that would have any weight in these matters, as I am sure much of Hasan's community is the same. Yes, I have opinions, but I'm always open to hearing others and learning more. I refuse to be part of a community who think their way is the only way and then choose to degrade anyone who doesn't think the same. It's a shame because I've learned so much from watching Hasan, but I can't take the hate anymore. So, I mean, I heard that Hasan mods implemented a no more Ethan posts. I mean, for the past year, since October 7th, his subreddit has been essentially a second snark subreddit, just dedicated to obsessively hating me for everything I do. I don't know if you guys have been there. But so they've enacted a no Ethan a rule, unless it's like directly related to Hasan or something like that, which, you know, is probably a good step towards trying to prevent the nonstop onslaught of harassment that I get from his maniacs in his audience. You know, and even as I type this to you guys now, should I mention the thing that we talked about before the show? Like I feel like I should, but this, unrelated to Hasan. Yeah, so there's something really disgusting happening right now, and I have zero recourse, okay? On the Snark subreddit, the top post right now is dedicated to identifying and harassing non-public Teddy Fresh employees. It's part of the same fucking flame of crazy Zionist hatred and this catch-all term that's being deployed against pretty much every fucking Jew. And you know, when you convince yourself that you're up against Nazis, you can pretty much justify doing anything to them. We grew our whole lives believing like the Nazis were the worst, they're just plain evil, and you can only imagine, you know, what we would have done to a Nazi, that just pure, and so we all grew up with that, this perfect idea of evil. Now the left has, you know, perpetuated this idea that Zionism is Nazism. Except, wait, what is Zionism? Okay, well, everyone has a different opinion. It means all these different things. These people, they say, I'm anti-Zionist, and they're giving themselves all the freedom, all the permission they need to do the worst things imaginable to these people. It's fucking insane. It's disgusting. I hate it. These people are sick, and Reddit is complicit, and Twitch is complicit. Like, I just don't understand what the fuck's happening. Am I just powerless to stop people being... non-public people being fucking bombarded by, you know, is this not targeted harassment? That can't be normal. Pinned on their front page. I don't know what to fucking make of all this shit, but it's sick. And that's why I bring it up. And honestly, I don't really have a lot more to say about it. I'm sure I missed something because this was whole fucking messy. There's a lot more I would say about Hasan, but I try my best to keep it only to like the most like straightforward, in my opinion, irrefutable points, which is that this Houthi kid is a fucking terrorist. He shouldn't be glorified, okay? And that the Houthis are terrorists who should not be glorified, okay? And that Hasan, even though I don't believe he's anti-Semitic, is causing a lot of pain and trouble in the world for people, Jewish people. I think so. He doesn't realize it. But that's what he's doing, and that's why I felt forced and compelled to say that. You ask yourself, what is Zionism? And when you have a definition, you tell me. And then we can decide if I'm one or not, if I should die or if I should live. You guys tell me what's Zionism, and then we can decide if I deserve to be spiked to death up the asshole through the mouth, or if I can if I can actually have access to your encampment on college. Like, and the difference between the two is so insanely stark. It's like most Jews have a nuanced, are going to have a nuanced opinion about the state of Israel. Literally 90% of Jews. I've personally never even met a Jew that was like, yeah, Israel should be abolished and it shouldn't exist. I'm telling you guys, people don't want to listen. 90% of Jews are Zionists. There is a problem with this fucking term. and it's being deployed uncritically. Yeah, here, I mean, here's we saw the pin, but here it is, pinned at the top of their subreddit. So, I don't know. I don't really want to do this back and forth. I don't know how he's going to react, and frankly, I just wanted to say my piece. I feel it's a moral imperative for me to do this and to say this, and I understand a lot of people are going to disagree with me for some reason. Some people are going to say that what I did is heinous, that I should be focused on what's happening in Gaza, even though, once again, apparently this has nothing to do with Israel. It's anti-Semitism, but my heart is with the people of Gaza. I pray for this war to end. I'm just fucking so need this shit to end. It's gone on so long, and it's so terrible. You know, honestly, my hope is that, like, when the war ends, these people will, like, calm down and disappear. But I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I don't know if these people have just got a taste for anti-Semitism and taste good. You know, there's a reason that shit existed forever. Forever. You name me a time in history when going after the Jews was the right thing. They're Zionists. Okay. Got it. That's all I have to say, I guess. I don't know. I honestly felt like I had no choice. I had to do it. And I'm sorry. And it is what the fuck it is. That's it. You want to say something, AB?
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to this, and it's a little tricky for me to navigate. But first and foremost, I don't want to take away from how you're feeling or what you're experiencing, because I know that anti-Semitism is on the rise, and I know that you are definitely a victim of it and a target of it. And I like Hasan as well. And well,
Hasan's telling me it's not real. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you're not interrupting me. Well, on that point, you're talking about the clip with Frogan, whenever he said that he said anti-Semitism is a form of bigotry that is not accepted, while Islamophobia is a form of bigotry that is accepted. That's exactly what he said. I think what he was trying to say is that because of stuff like the Holocaust and all the persecution that Jews have gone through, you know, it's known that it's not accepted. Of course, people still do it. It is on the rise. Whereas Islamophobia, it doesn't have like a Holocaust type event, so people aren't as aware. And also, just, you know, being closer to 9/11, it's still prevalent.
Based on I hear you. I appreciate your perspective. Obviously, thank you for sharing. And I understand this is probably uncomfortable for you, and I apologize, dude. It's so unfair that, you know, of all the bullshit that, you know, we all get for this. That being said, obviously, I wish he said a lot more, if that's what he meant, right? Because apparently, I think words matter, especially when you're talking about something as delicate as that, especially when you're talking about your friend who felt victimized by one of your mods, you know, and just blankly defending her. And I mean, it's pretty easy to interpret the way I did. And I have to say, like, based on the premise, just based on my experience in the world, is that, like, I think our generation is, like, deeply traumatized by what happened in Iraq. And people are, like, mega support. I think in general of our, you know, woke audience, like, people are mega supportive and aware of Islamophobia and anti-Arab hate just because of what happened. And our generation carries a lot of guilt, right, for what happened. And so I see a lot of people who understand that perspective, right? Like, you know, but what I'm seeing more and more of every single fucking day, I've never seen in my life, is just out and open, blatant, unchecked anti-Semitism. Just out in the open, blatant. It's everywhere. You can't miss it. And so, like, once again, I don't believe that anyone's suffering is greater than another person's. You know, I think everyone's suffering is equally valid. But I do believe that, listen, if you want to be as charitable as you can be, He should have picked his words better, and talking about something as important as that. In terms of what he said, though, I think he's wrong, and I think it fucking sucks that's his opinion.
I don't want to say too much because I don't want people to take us talking out of context or try to make it something it's not.
Yeah,
but
we're happily
we're
friendly discussing.
Yeah.
Before and after, we remained friends, and me and AB are great. And we're going to Vegas together.
I'm excited.
Because Lena is back. Your girl is in the tourney.
Yeah.
But sorry, is there something else you want to touch on?
No, that's it. I mean, Hasan will. I'm sure he'll. Well, I don't know, but he can defend himself. I'm probably not the best at it. Not the person to do it, anyways.
I appreciate the voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it gives me the opportunity to respond to it too, because it's just not what I see and feel, and to basically say it's a terrible misspeak if we're going to be generous to him. To say that whatever, I've talked about it enough. What else is there to say? Should we do some? Yeah, we'll probably end it. But do we have some kind of vibe cleanser? Oh, cookies. Oh, Nate, that was Nate's fault. Nate said cookies. The fun is over anyway. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say a ta-ta for now. We're gonna thank all you guys for watching. I want to emphasize once again, you guys can watch both of us, and that's totally fine, and it's totally great. It's not personal. I, as a Jewish man, felt a moral imperative to say something, and so that's what I've done. I've said what I had to say, and that's it. Beyond that, we are doing a member stream tomorrow.
No one's watching.
Was I coherent through that?
No.
All right, guys.
There's a smear campaign against you right now. What else is new, bro? It's a fucking just another Wednesday. I know you don't do drama, but are you gonna cover the shit being talked about you in a non-drama way? There's a lot of misinformation getting blasted out here right now. I understand it's super awkward since it involves a friend, though, and I understand you aren't gonna touch it at all. I don't know how to deal with it because what hasn't been said about me, at this point? Xylax, thank you for the 100 gifted subs. Guys, I don't really care. I don't really know how to address it. Yeah, dude, if you think I'm anti-Semitic, you are insane. Okay. That's it. I can't deal with someone's hallucinations. All right. I don't know what to do. Okay, people, I need to make an announcement. I did not time this so that one Jewish guest of mine would be swapped out for another. Okay. And I know that everyone is going to say Noah's back because they were calling Noah Felix earlier. I'm under attack for fostering anti-Semitism in this community. And you guys are being anti-Semitic right now.
Well, I mean, what your chat doesn't know is that this is the last day you will ever see Noah, me, any other Jewish content creator, even the secret ones like Mr. Beast. Because it's no longer safe. As everyone knows, Shy David I was finally banned from Columbia campus.
Oh, we'll get to that.
That's how Crystal Knock started the first time.
I'm so happy that you were able to demonstrate your bravery by coming here on a day of mourning for you.
Well, it was kind of like, if people remember the freeway mission from the new Modern Warfare 2. I was fighting off JVP convoys and everything, jumping from car to car. It was very harrowing.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll because we have another guy coming in a little bit. He's not Jewish. I promise.
Decidedly not.
I promise. I know there are a lot of anti-Semites in this community, and we are very. I know that you guys are very mad at me right now for having all these Jewish guests on today, which once again, I do need to mention something here. I did not know that my former podcast co-host was going to do an entire effort post about how anti-Semitic I am and how anti-Semitic my community is when I set up the guests for the day.
Okay. I think the move of doing an effort post on Instagram stories.
No, he did it. It's the full episode, I think, today where he's talking about
full episode. Oh
he dedicated an entire podcast episode, I think, to like how I am pro-terrorist, pro-terrorism, and how I let anti-Semitism fester in my community.
What did like the 13-year-olds who watch it, like, what are they thinking?
I think
are they like, can you talk about the bold guy again? This sucks.
No, I think that most of his, and I think it's pre-recorded too and no chat. Wait, it was? I don't think so. But I've told this to Ethan a long time ago. I was like, listen, a lot of your community is very, very, very progressive. Like, it's not me that's like making people upset at you for, saying a lot of things that might be damn near identical to like a Michael Rappaport about like, oh, I bet queers in Palestine wouldn't have an easy time, or if you were a sex worker in Palestine, you'd get thrown off the roof, like he said to our friend Muhammad.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff is not going to be read positively by your audience, which is going to be very upset at you because your audience does not agree with what you're saying. And it's not just like me goading them into, feeling a type of way about you.
Yeah. Didn't he had like a whole thing where a lot of YouTube guys had to do this during the Trump years, where like, all their videos from like 2013, when you could do anything, like get recirculated among their new audience of people who are like, 15 or 16 in 2017. And they're like, oh my God, I would never do that ever again. I would never. My character from 2013, AIDS man, is retired. He's gone. I'm so sorry. You would think that like after that, and he is, and this is not bigoted, a very nervous man. You could just tell. You would think after that he'd be like, oh, I shouldn't like talk about my wife's deployment to an illegal settlement that one time. But no, I don't. It defies reason. I think like anyone who does our general job, and especially someone like him who I only make $3 million a month. I'm middle class. He makes $30 million a month.
He's upper middle class.
He's upper middle class. And it's like, we won the lottery. Why are you bitching about the trolls all the time?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Look, it's whatever. But like I was saying, I did not foresee this being a major point of contention today. The podcast blast off tweet doesn't even mention you, Lamau. Wait, what? I don't know what leaving Hasan from the topics when you made it the title of the stream is crazy. I didn't even realize that it was like happening until everyone started getting banned in my chat for trying to bring it up.
Okay.
Why is everyone accusing you of anti-Semitism? Keep willfully ignoring the things you say about Charlottesville. Wait, Charlottesville. There is a million different instances that you can point. Every day I talk about anti-Semitism, especially as it pertains to like the way that Americans examine the situation in Israel.
I'm the most anti-Semitic person that's on this stream regularly or ever.
Yeah, if I knew that Ethan was going to call me an anti-Semite today, I would not have invited you.
Yeah, no, yeah, that it does sort of it makes it harder to make the case. That's true. I still appreciate it.
But why don't you just watch the podcast app? I mean, I might, but we'll see. He's insisting on making you out to be an anti-Semite regardless of what you've actually said. Yeah, I don't even think he thinks I'm anti-Semitic. To be fair, I don't think he thinks that at all. At most, he will probably say, like, I just let anti-Semitism manifest in my community or something, which is also not correct. But one thing that I did see online that I find very interesting about the internet, like purely from how things have changed, in terms of like change for the worse. Oh, we were reading Noah's like earlier.
But no,
he said that you're signaling to us. Yeah, always.
What?
He pulled up a clip from a YouTube account called Hamasabi.
He's in a group chat with like Dry Bones and everyone.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's for sure. That's how you tolerate. That's how you showcase your tolerance about different forms of bigotry. when you pull from the endless fountain of tolerance from the likes of the account called Hamasabi.
I just don't like. I mean, this type of like accusation it kind of reminds me of the stuff that like Zionists do, where it's like, hey, I'm actually a liberal. I support peace. Blah blah blah. But when I see a kafaya, that's the same as seeing Adolf Hitler cloned 50 times and walking down my street.
Yeah.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same type of thing where you try to like portray yourself as eminently reasonable, but the actual thing you're saying is so fucking crazy. Like, you would have to be like every day for like months and months. You're like, what is a system of subliminal messages I can issue to chat where they can anti-Semitically target the clients. I mean, if I was doing that, and I've actually done this to a lot of people, to use subliminal messages to anti-Semitically target people. But not people in media. They're nobody. They're non-people, regulars as we call them. My neighbors, people who complained about like noise and stuff, like those types of people. When I've done that, I leave no trace. I wouldn't be streaming it every day.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? If you were doing that, you would be collaborating with the bald guy, their greatest enemy.
Who's the bald guy?
Oh my
bald guy?
No, the bald guy. The bald guy. Oh my God. We may have to watch him. He's Michael showed him to me many years ago, and he makes the most baffling skits ever. But he sort of helped like make H3's star because they had a big dispute over. H3 was making videos about these ridiculous videos he was making, and he like copyright struck their channel, and it was like a whole thing, and he took them to court. And that's actually the entire reason why I knew about H3 in the first place, was because I loved this bold guy character.
Yeah.
But I swear that we've watched his videos before.
They're saying Matt Haas. I don't know. He's talking about Northern Lion. Yeah, he's talking about Northern Lion.
Yeah.
The bald guy, the only bald guy.
No.
Someone was saying that he called me a rape apologist for October 7, which I think is not only incorrect, but it's also a weird line of attack when, Israel. Haaretz recently came out with an article that the pro-rape protest that the Israeli rabid weirdos engaged in was actually significantly more violent than we had previously seen, and that they were actually literally with arms, like wearing balaclavas. They like violently apprehended the military police.
Yeah,
like that came out yesterday. The pro-rape protest happened where, you know, Israeli concentration camp guards at Sidi Taiman brutally raped a Palestinian to death. Numerous ones, but one that was like made it to the headlines. So it's weird. He played a video of you laughing at Kama talking about rape on October 7th and said that's proof. Yeah. What am I supposed to do in that situation? Sit there and be like, this unsubstantiated, one of the most well-documented, acts of violence overall, where the least substantiated news coverage over it was met with like just no fucking resistance whatsoever, with the exception of like internal communications from the New York Times editorial team being like, this is a bridge too far for us. What the fuck are we doing? We're like dropping the ball on this, which kind of went nowhere. And everyone just kept repeating the unsubstantiated reporting on it as though these violent, barbaric monsters were just like breaching the fucking Gaza boundary, specifically to go and rape the beautiful Israeli women. Like it's repackaged colonial propaganda.
Yeah, Israel has never offered like actual, like coherent evidence for this.
Yeah, he also apparently thinks Twitch is liable for me interviewing a Yemeni teenager who's only known genocide his entire life.
Like liable, like if
I'm doing pro-terror propaganda. Yeah.
Are any Jews good at law stuff anymore? Like, what the fuck? I shouldn't say that, especially today.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, how the fuck do you... Oh, yeah, when fucking... Who was the guy who interviewed Bin Laden in the late 90s? Mike Wallace? Or some fucking guy? Some 60 Minutes guy. Yeah, after that, CBS was on the hook for 9/11. You know? Come on.
Yeah, but the thing that I was going to say that's like crazy is that because everyone is online all the fucking time, you literally have a dude who's 19 fucking years old, okay, living in Yemen, one of the poorest, if not literally the poorest country on the planet, that withstood a genocide that American munitions caused by way of the UAE and Saudi Arabia not that long ago. Okay. And me humanizing the victim of said genocide is actually, or giving them like a normal interview at a time when everyone is like screaming bloody murder about killing everyone in the region. This is like, it's a wild thing to have that dude see this statement from Ethan. I know, an adult man, I know you guys don't like me talking about Hasan, and all I appreciate that there's a lot of crossover. I'm grateful for those of you that are able to watch us both. It's impossible for me to ignore that the majority of his people are coming from his community. It's something that he and his audience refuse to reckon with. Hasan's whitewashing of that Houthi kid who said he wants to spear all Zionists to death was frankly disgusting. I don't give a fuck that he's seen an episode of One Piece. I'd like to know why he's hanging out with a boat captain of a Chinese cargo vessel, aka a hostage.
Oh, he was furious when he was writing that. This makes no sense.
And as more info has come out about this kid being a terrorist affiliate and being anti-Semitic, lots more examples. Hasan has refused to disavow him. The opposite, actually. He continues to prop him up. Rashid al-Haddad responds to this from Yemen. I did not mean the Jews, but the Zionists. Do not confuse everyone. I respect every Muslim Jew who stands for the truth.
That's
and
awesome.
I will do everything I can to protect him. I think he meant Muslim or Jew.
Yeah. But yeah, like
this dude learned English from literally like reading Twitter. Okay.
Yeah. Learned English from reading Twitter while like Saudis were fucking triple tapping funerals for like he's 19 years old, right?
Yeah.
That's about, yeah. For, yeah, like nearly half his life, Yemen was just probably the most horrific like aerial bombardment campaign, at least one of them in the region at the time. Sorry he didn't go to your fucking specific Twitter page, Ethan, and figure out the exact HR-proof thing to do.
Making the targets and only resistance of an ongoing genocide do this is so grim, says Aisha. And I thought that was like poignant, but also kind of crazy to just like really imagine a world where like you got a dude, everything he's known is like death and destruction, okay? And he's on Twitter, the Everything app, and he's posting like, hey guys, you know, I don't hate all Jewish people.
Yeah,
like what are we doing? What is happening in the world?
It's just like Yemen, the poorest country, if not the poorest, like definitely in the bottom 10 or bottom 5. And then a guy who sells, like, as far as I can ascertain, has made $700 billion selling like pastel colored crew necks. And he's like, this 19-year-old is going to kill me.
In Yemen.
In Yemen.
From Yemen.
I just like the first instance of this stuff I saw was when like last year during his first dust up with you, when he did that thing that like all these guys do where it's like they live in America, their families live in America, they'll never fucking move to Israel, and in fact one of their family members moved from Israel because it actually sucks to live there.
Bro, they're making him he's posting like he's got barred from Columbia campus, dude. Like that, dog, you're in Yemen. Like what do you mean?
It's just like making him do this shit, like but he did that thing where like last year where he's like, oh, you want to make it so Israel isn't a Jewish homeland? Where is my wife who lives with me in Beverly Hills, fucking California? Where's she gonna go? In the garbage? In the toilet? Do you just want to kill her?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she's gonna go where she is now, which is not Israel.
Yeah, this is Hasan talks to literal terrorists on stream. 28,000 likes. I think killing over 11,000 children is worse than anything some dude with a dynamite has ever done, which is kind of a funny way to
severe lowball.
Yeah,
that's like someone being like.
Not only is it a lowball, but this dude is not even like. I asked him straight up. I was like, "Are you a part of Ansar Allah?" Like again, like are you a quote unquote Houthi? And he was like, "No, I'm not. I'm Yemeni. I'm from Yemen. That's it." But it's really funny because this guy turns around and goes, you know, they want to eradicate the Western world, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. What fucking universe are you living in?
Dude.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You're like perceived. He wants to eradicate the Western world and you're laughing. It's like, it's, there is nothing funnier than this, than like hallucinating a reality that like, you know, people in Yemen are going to come to the United States of America and eradicate the Western world. Yeah. They have one, like, what's the fucking, you're the plane nerd. What's the one plane
they have? Like one F5 that doesn't really run most of the time. If one F5 destroys all, not just America, England, Germany, like the whole EU. If one F5 does that, then like okay, then we suck.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that like we deserved it.
I would like to clarify that any Jewish person, Christian or Muslim or any other who is innocent, we will never hurt them. We protect them and ask them for what they want, what they like, and what they need. We stand for the oppressed, which is why we oppose Zionism. It is Zionist ideology that is wreaking havoc upon innocent Palestinians and Lebanese. Anyway, I'm sorry, but if you consider my conversation with a teenager from Yemen who is a survivor of genocide, okay, it doesn't matter if you don't recognize it. What the fuck? Oh, is this Avi? Oh no, it's my brother. Hey, if you consider my conversation that humanizes a victim, a survivor of genocide in Yemen, to be a bridge too far, I don't know what to tell you, especially when every single person with eyes to see can recognize what is the reality that is unfolding in both Gaza and in Lebanon. Every day, Israel is killing hundreds of people, okay? Burning babies, burning teenagers with American munitions. If you want to center your own personal feelings as the primary conversation here, I don't know what kind of conversation we can have. It has been ongoing for 12 months, okay? This is a ridiculously self-centered conversation to have. In terms of this interview that I conducted, multiple well-decorated, award-winning journalists reached out and said that it was a fantastic interview humanizing the victims of American imperialism that never get a fucking, that never are approached in this way. And not only that, but also the motherfucking New York Times also reached out to get his information because they also saw having a conversation like this, like the one that I conducted, to be worthwhile. Excuse me for not fucking immediately going, do you condemn Hamas? Do you condemn the Houthis? When I'm talking to a 19-year-old who doesn't even fucking speak a lick of English. That is insane. Okay? That is insane.
The thing that like people always do before they like just issue like a completely like self-centered tirade after all of this, after every horrifying fucking thing that we've seen, they always go, well, you know, I'm for peace. I don't like Netanyahu. I don't just vaguely I like peace. And which supposedly then gives them license to endlessly talk about themselves after over a fucking year of this.
He said Rashid was a child terrorist and then actually said he's not a child, he's a kid. Yeah. Anyway, it is really, really crazy. I am not even remotely embarrassed that I did this. I think it was a good thing. There was journalistic value in hearing the perspective of someone who is on the other side of the world. We would never be able to have this conversation without the internet. And ultimately, you know, once again, centering our own personal feelings, no matter what our background is, no matter who we are, in the heart of luxury, in the heart of empire, in the United States of America, when, you know, the Palestinians I talk to in Gaza are currently witnessing a fucking onslaught, a complete genocide, is unimaginable. Okay? I'm going to tell you something about a journalist that I talked to in North Gaza. His name is Hasan Shabat. I talk to him with regular frequency. He has said that he wants his messages to be broadcasted. He is still luckily alive. As of 4 hours ago, he still has tweeted, and I'm going to talk about this in a second. If you recall, Hossam's two other journalist friends were assassinated by the Israeli state. Okay? He is among some of the many people that I talk to that still have access to internet in Gaza. He is in North Gaza. Israel is currently starving North Gaza and conducting a full-blown genocide in North Gaza. I need you to understand this. Hossam, as of today, is 23 years old. Okay? This is a very important part of humanizing the victims of this genocide. Okay? This is Hossam. Okay? This is Hossam. Is that Anne Frank? Your mother should have swallowed you, you fucking piece of shit. Okay? I said, hope you're doing well, all things considered, my friend. And to which he responded, doing the best we can. Today is my second birthday during this genocide. I turned 23. I hope by my next birthday, I will be alive and all of this will be over. 23 years old. 23. 23 years old.
Everyone, whether they're in South Lebanon or Beirut or Gaza or the West Bank, is forced to grow up extremely, extremely fast for one reason or another. It's kind of sickening when you juxtapose, like put it next to whenever like a group of Israeli soldiers are killed, and they're like, "Oh my God, these 21-year-old kids." He was just a 27-year-old colonel. It's so these kids are being killed. Professional soldiers.
I need you to understand. That is why I'm showing this specifically so you understand like where my mindset is and where I'm at. I understand that I am an incredibly fortunate person to be living in the United States of America. Okay? And I try to use that good fortune to the best of my ability to communicate the humanity of the people that are victim to American imperialism, to Israeli violence. I'm sorry if these emotional moments for a lot of people cause others to stop thinking about the victims and instead start thinking about the fear that they hallucinate or the violence that they hallucinate from this community. Okay? If you think I'm anti-Semitic or if you think that I'm promoting anti-Semitism, when every single day we work tirelessly to ensure that anti-Semitic statements do not get any fucking do not get any kind of fucking ground in this community on a regular basis, I don't know what to tell you. Okay? I don't know. I have no answer. I have no answer for you. It is ridiculous and it's sad that this is even a point of contention. Okay? It's sad that it is even a point of contention. I don't think anybody believes it. Okay? I don't know. What a weird situation we're in.
Yeah, I mean, that is like the last resort of someone who just has absolutely nothing. It's a broad enough accusation that you can just toss it out there. And just like it's ephemeral enough, like the idea that like you're just generally signaling to the troops to go and like harass him anti-Semitically. Well, like how could you disprove that? It's like completely fucking ridiculous. But
all you can do is laugh at it. Yeah. I mean, that's it. All I can do, and all I do in this situation is just like laugh at these ridiculous accusations. Okay? There's nothing else I can say. It's insincere. It's not only insincere, but it's like I don't even think it genuinely like it genuinely causes a single person to second guess unless they're already primed into fucking hating everything that I am saying already. But that's it. It's deeply unserious. I hope Ethan is doing well. I don't know. I haven't kept up with him. I urge him to talk to at least like Sam Cedar or something. Maybe he can get a different perspective from someone else that has also been to Israel, someone who he admires and respects. That's it. If you're not anti-Semitic, then you must have a problem with Hezbollah. What? If you're not anti-Semitic, then you must have a problem with Hezbollah.
Hezbollah is more pluralistic than like any of Israel's governing parties. That's not really, that's just kind of a fact.
Look,
Okay,
I like
so-
the Houthis for their honorable stance on Gaza, but I find it extremely bad faith of Ethan to insist that this boy's a Houthi. I'm Arab and I follow him on social media. He's literally a civilian. Every Yemeni social media influencer got access to the ship. You don't know why he's doing this? I mean, I don't know. I maybe he thinks that like I'm, secretly trying to do anti-Semitism on extreme difficulty. By routinely speaking out against it and routinely talking about it virtually every day.
That's like an anti-Semitism soul level 0 run.
Yeah, I'm trying to do New Game Plus anti-Semitism. Like
New Game
I
Plus
think,
7.
Yeah, I
soul
think
level 0.
I think this shit's too easy. You know what I mean? People are like, "Oh yeah, Jews control the media." Like, no, dude, I'm gonna criticize that statement, then secretly nod to it. Okay, the long con.
Anti-Semitism with all status effects. Item randomizer. Soul level 0.
Yeah, SL1. Anyway, the best thing you've always said about like all these criticisms against like anyone and everyone that like all the criticisms against like the domestic affairs or other military operations or whatever that like any of these groups engage in that are a part of like the axis of resisting against American and Israeli violence in the region is that, America was a segregationist, homophobic, incredibly intolerant society during World War II, and we still fucking root for Easy Company.
Yeah, like spousal rape wasn't a crime in like most fucking states when all our favorite guys, Spears, Buck Compton, all of Easy Company, when they were doing all that, and we love those guys. I always will.
Yeah. I dude, catch me watching Band of Brothers. I'll have a very different attitude about America. You know what I mean? You guys know this already. Sometimes I have to go back and center myself so I don't get a little ahead of myself in terms of how hard I ride for America. Best moment in American history. Like,
it's such a like, man, it really makes me wish I could have been on that team. I don't think I would have made it through the airborne, probably not. But like just generally, if I was like friends with Spears, I don't know what my job in World War II would be. I think if I memorized the eye chart, they would let me fly a plane. I would love that.
Yeah. Marital rape wasn't illegal in all U.S. states until 1993. Yeah. What?
Jeez, do you feel like it was that late?
Do you feel like you at least owe it to this community to address the slander, but that slander includes calling this whole fan base anti-Semites and pro-terror? To me, that is just so vile. Dog, your name is False Prophet 93, okay? Like, you need to understand something. When people say this entire community is anti-Semitic, okay, it's already a ridiculous notion. But at least, like, you're fucking anonymous, okay? He's saying that I have, as one of the largest left-wing content creator in North America, have fostered an anti-Semitic community. Like, what do you mean? Like, trust me, I think I'm a bigger target here. So if I am not working through the silliness of all these conversations and addressing every single talking point, which is utterly ridiculous, what the fuck? Why do you care? Sorry. Slight flex in front of Felix in general. Okay, singular content creator, not podcast.
Well, no,
the largest leftist podcast.
I don't think that's up for debate. Like this stream is like way bigger than our podcast. Like we have a lot of like monthly listeners and we're doing pretty well, like paid subscribers wise, but it's just not, I don't think like nearly as high profile.
Wait, what is this? Ain't no way. Hasan actually said that. There's no way he thinks Iran is better on trans rights than the U.S. This is a bit, right? Trans, but I'm sure that you probably didn't know that. I like that they're mad that Iran is woke on trans.
Yeah,
Too woke.
Yeah, way too woke.
A little too woke. They went overboard.
Way
Okay?
too woke.
Iran is the left went so far. Maybe they went out of control a little bit.
It's like they're doing what people said like Biden would do.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing no, I said it on that conversation. I said they're doing Kamala Harris, they're doing transgender surgeries on inmates.
Yeah. No, yeah. I love things like that, like Vladimir Putin being the world's only like right-wing COVID scold, where they just like accidentally go so far in the other direction.
Also, our big boy is here. Our big beautiful boy is here.
Wonderful.
What's up? Hello, everyone.
Okay,
dude, did you want me? There was a big fruit basket from Hamas outside. Did you want me to bring it in? They were really happy for all your. They were like, it just said thank you for all your hard work.
Dude, don't fucking out me, dude. Fuck.
You're doing such a good job.
Okay, but they
Thank
do
you.
have a very tasteful selection.
A lot of figs.
Did you notice that?
Yeah,
Dates.
Yeah, dates.
Yeah. Like, what am I supposed to do, dude? I fucking love dates.
The man can be bought easily.
Yeah.
It was because it was like right next to your check from George Soros.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of you're kind of getting paid from both sides.
Yeah. The IRGC, Hamas, and George Soros.
H3 Archive. I love you. I appreciate you. H3 Archives. The way you're doing this, such a great. Oh, that's great. We love that. I mean, you're doing clips. Like, here's one.
I specifically saw that one and like checked and was like, this is okay. That's perfect.
Peace and love, H3 Archives.